So what do you know about Las Vegas, Nevada, other than casinos? If you said nothing, this video will amaze you. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to World According to Briggs, and a video about Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. I love Las Vegas for a few different reasons. I grew up in Southern California and spent a lot of my youth visiting the Meadows. That's what this Hispanic girl I know used to call the place, and I didn't know what it meant. One day I'm all, why do you keep calling that the Meadows? She's all, that's what it means in Spanish, Las Vegas. And I was all, oh, I looked it up because I didn't trust her, and she was right. That's what it is. Nobody calls it that though, so don't go down there expecting someone to know what the hell you're talking about if you do. But Las Vegas was actually named that because the abundant wild grasses, and they had desert hot springs and all that, and now they got casinos and hotels. But Las Vegas is so much more than gambling, casinos, and hotels. Las Vegas is why I'm a full-time YouTuber, really. I'll explain that later on in the video. If you've never seen our What's Up videos, they are basically 15 minutes or so explanations about a location. We've done Tampa, New Orleans, Los Angeles, Miami, and just did Ukraine. These are like video cliff notes of locations. All right, let's see what's up with Las Vegas. The area where Las Vegas sits today has had humans strolling around it for thousands of years. Matter of fact, Paleo-Indians first traveled to the Vegas area around 10,000 years ago. The first non-Native American to encounter the valley was in 1829, and it was a young Mexican scout named Rafael Rivera. Word soon got out about this place and people started heading there. John C. Fremont arrived in 1844, which downtown Las Vegas Fremont Street is actually named after. Las Vegas was settled in 1905 and officially incorporated in 1911. And it wasn't until 1931 when Nevada legalized casino gambling. Small cowboy bars and places like that had always had gambling, but this is when they let it go full scale. In the 1930s, famous gangster Bugsy Siegel, or Benjamin Siegel, shows up in Las Vegas and eventually goes on to open up the Flamingo, which, if you don't know, is a hotel and casino that is still open to this day. One misconception is that he started Las Vegas and he's the first one to have a casino. No, there were other hotels and casinos before he got there. The actual first casino in Las Vegas was El Rancho Vegas. Now, he did play a big part in putting it on the map with his Flamingo Hotel, but he was not the first. The Flamingo went on to be a very profitable hotel, but Bugsy Siegel never saw that because it had a rough beginning, and because of some other shady stuff he had been doing, the mob decided to put him out of their misery. Las Vegas went on without Bugsy Siegel. In 1951, the government came to town and started blowing up nuclear weapons out in the Nevada desert that you could see from Las Vegas, so this became kind of a tourist attraction for a while. I don't know the exact facts and all the things, but I saw this really neat video years ago about there was a Western being filmed not too far away from the test site. The big star for this movie was John Wayne. Well, a whole bunch of the people that either worked on this movie or starred in the movie actually died of cancer years later. John Wayne died of stomach cancer in 1979. The decades went on and suburbs started popping up all around the Las Vegas metro area, and it's eventually evolved into what we have today. So much more than just casinos. But it is still one of the most visited tourist destinations on the planet to this day. In 2010, the population of Las Vegas, the city, was 583,000. In 2020, it got all the way up to 641,000. The entire metro area, which includes Paradise, Henderson, Enterprise, Boulder, that's 2.2 million residents, making the Las Vegas metro area the 29th largest in the United States. When it comes to the demographics of the Las Vegas metro area, it looks like this. You got about 47% white. Black or African American is about 11%. Hispanic or Latino is 32%. Asian is 6%. And then everyone else makes up the rest. Las Vegas has never had a census where they've lost population. Going back to the 1910, they gained like 3,100%, going from 25 people in 1900 to 800 in 1910. And it continued to go like that for quite some time, gaining like 161%, 192% in 1950s. 1970, they gained 95%, 1980, 30%. And then in 2000, they gained 85%. Now it started slowing down then. They only gained 22% in 2010, and 2020, they only gained 10%. People are still moving there, obviously, just not at that fevered pace that they'd had for such a long time. If you talk to the locals, they'd appreciate it if it slowed down a little bit more. I'm just scratching the surface here when it comes to all things Las Vegas. If you really want in-depth videos on Las Vegas, there's a YouTube channel called Jacob's Life in Vegas. He knows all about Las Vegas. You should take a look at his channel, and he goes way in depth on things that I'm just not even looking at here. I'll leave a link down below. The economy of Las Vegas is mostly driven by tourism, gaming, and conventions, which in turn feed the retail and restaurant industry, and just about every other industry. A lot of people come into Las Vegas, and they spend a lot of money when they're here. If you're a tourist going to Vegas, you have two different sections that you'll go to. You have the Strip, which is South Las Vegas Boulevard, down in Paradise, Nevada, not actually Las Vegas. That's where you're going to find places like Caesars, New York, the Flamingo, Bellagio, Paris, Cosmopolitan, Excalibur, Tropicana. That's all down in Paradise on the Strip. And if you go downtown on Fremont Street and thereabouts, you'll find Binion's, Four Queens, the D Casino, Golden Gate Casino, El Cortez Hotel, and Hennessy's Tavern, where you could find me if I'm in Las Vegas. Now, all the different places there change so often, so by the time you watch this, Hennessy's could be gone. I mean, it's weird. Vegas is a fast-moving city and things change all the time. Sure, the major casinos are always going to be there for the most part. I mean, they've had some fade off into the history, but for the most part, a lot of these casinos stay around 30, 40, 50 years in some cases. But on Fremont Street, you're going to find more than casinos. You got zip lines, you got a place called the Heart Attack Grill, where they used to bill themselves as, if you weigh over 350 pounds, you eat for free. They have street performers and all that stuff. There's also a lot of different companies to work for in Las Vegas, not just casinos and hotels. There's no state tax for individuals or corporations, and a lack of other forms of business-related taxes have made the economy more of a success here in Vegas, and it's because it doesn't cost much to run your business here. But yeah, if you're under the illusion that the only thing to do in Las Vegas as far as work goes is work in a casino or a hotel, no, they've got everything. Just like any other city or metro area. Now, when we get to the neighborhoods of any place, it always causes a little bit of disruption in the comment section because people have different views on what's the best, what's the worst. We just go off the livability score and the stats. We look at things like cost of living, crime, housing, schools, things like that. That gives you a livability score. That's what we go by. Just because a neighborhood is considered the best statistically doesn't mean it's the richest neighborhood, or the worst doesn't mean it's the poorest neighborhood. There's a lot of things that go into this, and everyone's going to have a different opinion on what they think should be here. We just go by the stats. We also use the technical names, so if someone's looking it up on a map, they could find it. Perfect example I've used before, I grew up in a place called West Torrance, California. Come to find out years later, I didn't live in the neighborhood of West Torrance, I lived in Southwood. West Torrance is a little closer to the high school. But for the best neighborhood in Las Vegas metro area, we're going with Henderson and a neighborhood called Black Mountain. Black Mountain has a livability score of 85, which is outstanding. Their crime rate is actually 2% lower than Nevada's average, and 18% lower than Las Vegas's average. The cost of living is 6% higher than Las Vegas's average, and the real estate prices are about 29% higher. The median household income, that's the median, not the average, just the middle of the road, is $70,000 in Black Mountain. The median listing price for Black Mountain is totally unrealistic. Median is not the average, but the median listing price is $238,000, which is 29% higher than the US average. Realistically, if you want to buy something in this neighborhood, you're not going to find anything decent under $600,000. There's a couple, but a majority of the houses for sale there are $650,000 all the way up to $850,000. When you look at the worst neighborhoods, we're going with Twin Lakes, Las Vegas. This is in North Las Vegas, and this place kind of sucks statistically. They have a 57 livability score, okay? That's not good. Their crime rate sits 192% above the national average, which is good news because it's down from 241% in 2020. The cost of living is 7% lower, so that's a plus, and the real estate prices are 38% lower than Las Vegas's average. As we've learned on this channel and other places, if a place sucks, it's cheap. Now, they say the median home value here is $114,000. That's 38% lower than the national average. But realistically, you'll be lucky if you find anything below $300,000. Most houses are around the $425,000, $435,000, and that comes complete with bars on the windows and doors. When you look at Las Vegas metro area as a whole, they have some pretty okay stats, I would say. As far as their crime rate goes, the total crime rate is only 17% higher than the national average. Like I've said in other videos, there are places in the United States where the crime rate is like 400 and 500% above the national average. So 17% is not bad at all. Their violent crime rate is only 36% higher than the national average. Property crime's 13% higher. You only have a 1 in 37 chance of becoming the victim of a crime when you live here, which again is not bad. I've seen them as low as 1 in 8. When you look at the cost of living in Las Vegas, it's 2% higher than the national average. Housing is only 1% higher overall. Goods and services about 3% higher. So really, it's not a very expensive city to live in. The typical home price here is about $460 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, approximately 1,500 square feet. That's close to accurate, but some neighborhoods have, $1 million homes and some have, homes that are worth $250,000 or less. So it's all over the map in Vegas. When it comes to restaurants in Las Vegas, a couple I have experience with that I'd love to eat at. One is called Honey Salt. That's down on South Rampart in Las Vegas. This place is good. A lot of comfort food type things, but really great burgers, pasta. And if you go there, get a chicken pot pie. Outstanding. They have a lobster one too, which I'm a little sketchy on if I need to eat a lobster pot pie, but the chicken one's phenomenal. If you want to get some tacos, go to Tacos El Gordo on South Las Vegas Boulevard and Convention Center, I believe. That place is great. It's right next door to the Encore. Like I said, I also like to get a couple beers at Hennessy's. I like their food there. It's not for everyone. It's Irish pub food, but I like it. That's downtown on Fremont Street, right across from the Heart Attack Grill. When it comes to tourist spots in Las Vegas, almost the entire city is a big giant tourist spot. But they do have places like the Strip we talked about, 2.5 miles long, great casinos, great restaurants, great shows. It's all there for you on the Strip. You can also get helicopter rides to the Grand Canyon. There's a few companies that do that. If you're into firearms, you can go out in the desert and fire machine guns. You also have the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which has NASCAR and all kinds of other good races. And just recently, last couple of years, they got the NHL team, the Las Vegas Knights, and then the Raiders started playing there. The Oakland Raiders that became the Los Angeles Raiders, then became the Oakland Raiders again. Well, now they're the Las Vegas Raiders. They got a really cool stadium. When it comes to famous people that are from Las Vegas, like born and raised, there's quite a few. Now, there's hundreds and hundreds that are now living there that are famous, but the actual born and raised there's a whole bunch. Andre Agassi, the professional tennis player, Kyle and Kurt Busch, who are NASCAR drivers, Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta, who are the main guys for the UFC. They also own the Station Casino. Roy Nelson, also known as Big Country, he's a UFC guy, MMA, whatever. Probably one of the most out of shape looking dude. He's got a giant belly, but he just knocked people out for years. I think he's retired now. The list goes on and on and on. All right, so here's my take on Vegas, why I love Vegas so much. First of all, I've had tons of fun there over the years. And also, I wouldn't be a full-time YouTuber if it wasn't for Las Vegas. I'll tell you the story real quick. I've told it before, but in case you've never heard it, I was starting off on YouTube and didn't know what I was doing. I was gaming, then I was vlogging. I didn't know what I wanted to do. One day, I made a video for Facebook for a friend that was moving to Las Vegas. It was basically mocking him for moving to Las Vegas from Los Angeles. And I put it up on Facebook. We all got a good laugh. Basically, it was top 10 reasons not to move to Las Vegas. There was no research. I went off old stereotypes for and about Las Vegas, and it was a joke. Well, about a week later, I was like, oh, I gotta upload a YouTube video, and I did. It was basically a joke. Well, at the time, I was maybe lucky if I was getting 50 views on a video in a month, or maybe 100 if I was really lucky. I uploaded that like on 3 o'clock on a Friday or something, and me and my wife went up to Seattle. By the time I got up to Seattle and stopped and looked at my YouTube channel, it had blown up. I mean, completely blown up. This video, in the 2.5 hours or whatever it took me to get up to Seattle from Portland, Oregon, that video had like 20,000 views. It was mind-blowing. I actually set down my phone, got out my computer, and wanted to make sure I wasn't looking at something wrong. No, and it continued to do that for days, 20,000 a day. This is a channel that hadn't even seen 20,000 to this point in the year that I'd been making videos. And it was all because of a video. I didn't do any research, and I thought, you know what? I may be onto something. Lists may be the thing. So I actually started researching them and using old footage that I had from my travels, and I did a lot of traveling back in the day and had a lot of stills and a lot of video from an old camera I had. I mean, videotape, and it could rest on my shoulder type thing. Come a long way. All right, everyone. Las Vegas is a great city. I'm not a desert person, but I still like to visit this place. All right, everyone, don't forget, check out Jacob's Life in Vegas. There's a link down below. Have a great day. Be nice to each other.